Let's turn our attention to matters economic because we had the national spokesman for the working man, Senator Slingblade John Fetterman, hop into his Ford Bronco and take it all the way to Michigan to stand in solidarity with working men. And he offered this broadside to those automaker CEOs.
My message to the CEOs is, at $74 million, collectively earning that, how many yachts can they need, to water ski behind it? It's just crazy. I don't know. My message.
That's a real zinger.
Nobody water skis behind yachts. Okay. I don't even know what he's saying. I don't think he knows what he's saying.
For more on the UAW strike and other matters, including the pronouncement coming from His Holiness Jay Powell this morning about rates. Pleased to be joined by the Capitalist Pig, Jonathan Hoenig, founding member of the Capitalist Pig Hedge Fund, Fox News contributor, author of the book A New Textbook of Americanism, The Politics of Ayn Rand. Jonathan, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Dan, it's great to be with you. And I think I understand what Mr. Fetterman was trying to say there. He was actually trying to quote a line from the movie Wall Street, one of my favorites, going back to 1987. He didn't do it so well, but the line, I believe, is something to the effect where Bud Fox asks Gordon Gekko, how many yachts can you water ski behind?
Oh.
So he didn't quite nail it, but he was trying to, I think, get at that, populist questioning of, the rich.
Oh, nice
Oh,
pull.
thank you
I
for
forgot
helping us
about
out
that
with
line.
that.
That is
Yeah.
a pull from Wall Street. Very good.
Nice.
And then
He didn't do it so well, but how many yachts can
Yeah.
you water ski behind? That was what Congressman Fetterman was trying to utter there. Senator Fetterman
Yeah.
was trying to utter there.
And Senator Fetterman is going to have the shortest career in the Senate since that Pope who was poisoned. It's another Wall Street paraphrase. Yeah.
Well, what's so frustrating, Dan and Amy, is, look, we are all suffering from inflation. Older people, people on a fixed income, younger people, certainly people of lower means, and more than that are. But rather than attack the inflation that is hampering and the entire economy, so many on the left and even somebody on the right, attack rich people, business owners, as being the real culprit when it's government spending that's caused the inflation and continues to exacerbate it to this day.
What do we expect from His Holiness Jay Powell this morning?
Well, His Holiness is likely to keep interest rates on hold. If you can imagine, it's in 18 months, they've raised interest rates, almost a dozen times. It's put interest rates, Dan and Amy, up to the highest level in 22 years. Of course, it's making it harder for all of us to afford our loans, pay off a credit card, and interest rates on credit cards now are up at 20-some%. So they're likely to put interest rates on hold, the hikes, but then not off the table writ large. I mean, a lot of indicators are that inflation is not tamed, whether it be, gas prices, which continue to go up, other indicators. So, inflation is by no means tamed. And although the Fed is expected to keep interest rates on hold this time, a lot of indicators are that we, in fact, could see another hike before the year is done.
Well, here's the thing. You talk to people and they like entrepreneurs. Like I was talking to this restaurateur yesterday, and he feels a little jumpy. Like things are precarious and they're about to go sideways. Everybody looks for their leading indicators. For Amy, it's the price of goldfish. For this restaurateur, it's what he sees in terms of the tips his wait staff is getting. But then that dude who used to host Captain Kangaroo, who's now the Treasury Secretary, he said, whatever, that we're just about to stick the landing, and the only thing that may prevent us from sticking the landing is if Matt Gaetz engineers some sort of government shutdown for a week or two.
It's a great quote, Dan. Planes land, not economies. Planes have soft landing, not so much economies.
Yeah. It's a good one.
The irony is that, Biden and many on the left are kind of running on this Bidenomics is working mentality. But if it's working, why are 60% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck? Why are the number of Americans who are turning to what they call buy now, pay later services up by 40%? Why is the number of Americans who are falling behind on their car loans or credit card payments at the highest level in a decade? So, if the Bidenomics is working, if the economy is recovering, if the landing is going to be soft, why does it seem so many Americans are having such trouble when it comes to simply paying their bills? Now, that's the consumer side of it. I'm looking at the economic side, Dan and Amy. And, the one indicator in economics that has a 100% guaranteed success rate is what they call that inverted yield curve. Long-term rates should be higher than short-term rates. That hasn't been the case for a record 226 days. That has been a 100% a positive predictor of a recession. So I'm of that camp, and not to be a Cassandra, Dan and Amy, but recession isn't put off. It's just maybe put a little bit further down the road than we thought, and look for it in 2024 in the months and quarters to come.
But how can the American people be so stupid? I mean, he goes out there and he has tours touting Bidenomics, saying that this is working and things are great.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem really disconnected from everyday Americans. And, whether you're well-to-do or less well-to-do, the fact is, Amy, is that, since President Biden came to office, Americans are working more and they're earning less. Wages have gone down, adjusted for inflation, and costs have gone up pretty dramatically. So costs are up roughly 16%. Wages are down roughly 3%. So it reminds me very much, and I wasn't alive at the time, but in the mid-1970s, and even under Gerald Ford, they thought they had inflation lift. They were talking about a soft landing in 1975 and 1976. Of course, inflation wasn't tamed until another 7 years, and ultimately saw rates go over 12%.
Hey, did you see that talk on the All In podcast that billionaire venture capitalist Bill Gurley gave about regulatory capture?
No, I missed that, Dan, but I have listened quite a bit. I know you've been talking quite a bit about regulatory capture.
Yeah.
What did I miss?
It was pretty good. I mean, he gave some concrete examples. I was a little surprised. I mean, he seemed a little bit naive about politics, which is surprising for even early in his career, someone as sophisticated as he is. I also think he doesn't quite get the solutions right. He starts going off talking about things he really doesn't know anything about, like Citizens United. He should just stick to, valuating companies and so forth. But he was right, and especially I'm surprised because he was clearly familiar with the work of George Stigler, as you are, about regulatory capture, for which Stigler won a Nobel Prize in the early '80s. And yet he was sort of it was like he got caught with his pants down when it came to how these things actually operate. But he gave some really good concrete examples from the Obamacare era, COVID antigen tests, and just the importance of the idea that regulation is sold as benefiting the little guy, but it is almost always to protect incumbent industries. It is almost always collusion between big, powerful interests and big, powerful government. That was, I think, his overriding point, which is a salient one, because every single day and every single way you have government proposing things that are going to keep us safe, and they're going to do something to enrich the lives of children. And nobody ever very few people ever look at the outputs from the inputs. And he gave some really good examples of that. And I just, since you're a Randian on top of it, I just wanted you to talk a bit about that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Dan, that's what really worries me is you can't find politicians on either side of the aisle, Dan and Amy, now, who don't want to regulate. I mean, even Josh Hawley, or Republican Josh Hawley now, is wanting to talk about regulating what? Credit card interest rates. This is something that we used to expect from, Bernie Sanders and many on the left. And,
right.
What they don't see, Dan and Amy, is the cost of that regulation. Bastiat talked about that as what is unseen when it comes to economics. So all the destructive impacts of all that regulation. I mean, just look at something as simple as the iPhone. Recently Apple announced their new iPhone. All these new features, new software, new technologies. The iPhone itself is only about $100 more. So you're getting a new camera, a new phone, new technologies, only about $100 more. Now, could that happen with regulation? Could that happen with senators and congressmen that doing the designing, doing the technological advancements? So, laissez-faire means hands off, and what this economy needs is exactly what Carter did. I mean, Carter in the late 70s not only cut the size of government, but he cut regulation. So he cut regulation on things like air travel, which got us People's Express, got us, new forms of stock trading, interstate to transport when it comes to trucking. So we need deregulation, but our elected officials are going in just the opposite direction.
Yeah, we just do such a bad sales job. Deregulation is associated with doing some special favor to a particular business or industry when it's regulation that's doing it, which is why you hear like these the market heavyweights in a particular sector always begging for regulation. Zuckerberg, please regulate me. Sam Altman, OpenAI, please regulate me. Sam Bankman-Fried, before his demise, please regulate me. Right? They're trying to protect themselves and enhance their market share. They're not. This is not removal of barriers to entry to allow for more competition. And people just have it. So many people just have it completely turned around.
That's a great point, Dan. I mean, what worries me is, one of the few areas of strength in the markets this year has been AI, artificial intelligence, and anyone who's even played around with ChatGPT knows this is tremendously beneficial and huge ranging types of advancements. As you said, exactly those leaders going to Capitol Hill, begging for regulation. All that's going to do is slow the advancement, slow the technology, and in fact, for decades now, it's been technology that's been really the only area that's been devoid of heavy regulation. I mean, medical care, education, these are all areas of the economy tremendously regulated. Technology has been strong because it's been free. It really worries me about this trend now. Government's not only getting into banking, getting into healthcare, but increasingly getting into technology as well. And that's certainly not going to keep the innovation going. It's going to only stall it in the months and decades to come.
Before we let you go, just asking for a prediction here. Which do you think will be a more successful enterprise? A Brandon Johnson's city-owned grocery stores or a Brandon Johnson's city-owned real estate developments for migrants?
Oh, Dan, it's so, and Danny, it's so sobering and so scary to think about the fact now, the city is getting into owning a grocery store. And, what I just don't understand is this notion of food deserts. I mean, thanks to those hated technology companies, I don't know, like Amazon, you can get groceries delivered anywhere, basically almost any time for not a lot of money. So, technology, which we need, not more government-owned institutions like
well,
it's nice to go to the store, though. No.
Well,
I disagree.
Yeah,
and they were, but they had their chance.
Sure.
It's just the crime rate was so high that's why Walmart shut those 3 stores.
Well,
those were super Walmarts. Those were grocery stores.
The other thing is, Jonathan, Amazon is if they would maybe hire more of the idiot nephews of politicians, then that would work. But they have to employ them somewhere. So
they don't play the game. They don't play the political game that politicians and certainly in Chicago demand now. They wanted to just go and try to make money and serve their customers. So we need less government, more enterprise, and Amy, exactly as you're right. I mean, the crime, keeping companies out of San Francisco, out of Chicago, leaving those impoverished neighborhoods. How can they afford to stay open when politicians can't simply do their job, which is keeping criminals off the street?
Jonathan Hoenig, founding member of the Capitalist Pig Hedge Fund, Fox News contributor, author of a new textbook of Americanism, The Politics of Ayn Rand. Jonathan, thanks as always.
Great to be with you both.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Tell me why Relief Factor is so successful at lowering or eliminating pain. I'm often asked that question, and the owners of Relief Factor tell me they believe our bodies were designed to heal. That's right, designed to heal, and I agree with them. The doctors who formulated Relief Factor selected the 4 best ingredients, yes, 100% drug-free ingredients, each helping your body deal with inflammation. Each of the 4 ingredients